So we have been discussing greedy algorithms, and in the previous session we have started with a new problem statement, that is on activity selection problem. Now, as the name of the problem suggests, it's basically a problem of selection. So when you are saying you have a problem of selection, that means you have a choices. So there is a list of jobs or activities which can be performed. That means these are your possible set, or you can say it is your input set. Now, when you are making a choice, there has to be some criteria for making a choice. So what is that criteria? That each of these job is having some start time and finish time, and you have to make a choice in such a way that no two jobs or activities overlaps with each other. Overlapping means that start time of one activity has to be greater than the finish time of the other activity. So your choice selection has to be made in a such a way that two activities do not overlap with each other. That is the input constraint. Second thing is that what actually you want to optimize. So basically this is an optimization problem. So there has to be some optimization function. So here we are required to optimize the total number of activities which is to be performed. So here we want to maximize it. So the optimization function is to maximize the total number of activities in such a way that no two activities overlaps with each other. So one gives you the information about the constraint, and second gives you the information about the optimization function. So obviously it is a case of greedy algorithms, because we have some greedy choice property over here, and that is can be described by this particular condition, that start time of one activity has to be greater than or equal to the finish time of the other activity. So now since you have various options, so what is the solution? Solution is very simple and straightforward. You have to sort all the activities in the order of its finish time. Right? Now there are two options. One option is you can sort it in order of its start time, and second is you can sort it in order of its finish time. So basically when you have this type of scenario, what is the general solution? Means if you want to maximize the number of activities, usually which activity you should choose when you are choosing it? Yes, anyone? Let's say there are 10 activities. Each is one is taking 2 hours, another is taking 3 hours, another taking 5 hours, 6 hours, another is taking 2 hours, 3, 4, 5, 6, something like this. So usually which activity will be chosen if you want to maximize the number of activities? If you want to make sure that you want to perform maximum number of activities, then what should be the selection? Anyone? Yes. Right. So I think it's spot on. Basically, you will require to select those activity which requires the less time. So one solution is that you all find out the difference between finish time and start time. That will give you the actual activity time, right? And then you will sort the activities in order of its activity time, that is Fi minus Si. So that will give you, let's say, one figure, one number, and you can sort it and you can select it. But in that case, there is a problem with it, and that problem lies in the constraint. Here we are not just concerned about how much time the activity will take. We are also concerned about at what time it is going to start. So you can't just consider all the activities which will be starting at the same time, and you will not able to execute, even if they require less activity time, even if you will not be able to select it. So that solution is not going to work. So another option is that you will sort it on its start time. Then what will happen? If you sort the activities on its start time, that means first come, first served. Then let's say one activity starts with 8 p at time unit 8, but it requires, or it may be of the longer period. Let's say it takes 8 hours to finish. So it means that when you sort it on its start time, actually you are neglecting the total amount of time that activity may require. So again, that solution is not going to work. So sorting on start time is not going to work. Sorting on the actual time, activity time, is not going to work. Then remain the next one, that is sorting on the finish time. So usually that also we in normal practice also we do the same thing. So we'll just look at the activities and we will find out which activities is finishing at what time. And simply because something is finishing at, let's say, at 9 in the morning, uh, whatever may be its start time, but it is finishing at 9, so you will select that first. Then you will go for the next. Let's say it is finishing at 12. No matter whatever its start time, if it is starting after 9 and if it is finishing before 12, because no other activities is there which is finishing before 12. So after a performing activity which is finishing at 9, if I try to schedule any other activity, obviously it requires more time, and it will actually reduce the total number of activities. That means in that case my optimization function will not be maximized. So in general, the solution is that you need to sort all the activities in order of its finish time, and that is the actual greedy choice property for this given problem statement, that sorting the activities on its finish time is the solution. So if you understood this, then this is straightforward. So obviously you need to sort the activities. Here we are assuming is that, see, for specifically for this algorithm we are assuming it. Otherwise, if you go for the activity selection problem, you cannot assume this, right? You cannot assume that they are sorted. You have to sort it first. So here the first line should be sorting the activities on its finish time. That should be your first line. Deliberately I am making it complicated, or I'm just creating a various versions of how do we write the algorithms. Sometimes you can assume something, but when you assume it, then you have to be more specific about that. When it comes to the time complexity, we'll come to that point, that why assumption is not going to give you the accurate result every time. So deliberately I have just separated out that here we are assuming that all the activities are sorted on its finish time. So because there are n number of activities, there will be two parameter, one is S and second is F. S of I will represent the start time of activity I, and F of I will represent finish time of activity I. And we have sorted all the activities on the order of its finish time. So if you talk about the input example, then let's say there are A1, A2, A3, A4, these are the 10 activities. For each of this, you have some start time. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8, 9, 9, 11, 12, and some finish time. Our assumption is that all the activities are sorted in order of its finish time. Here it is not sorted, mind well. Okay. So let's try to understand this. So we have sorted it now. A1, then A3, then 2, 4. Based on the finish time, first is this 3, then next is 4, then next is 5, 7, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So based on this, we have sorted it. So finish time is now has to be sorted. So 3, 4, 5, 7, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So you can see this. Accordingly, start time will change because ultimately you are actually sorting the activities, not the finish time. So here again you will require an indirect sorting, because ultimately you want to just change the index of something. So this is sorted. Now what is the straightforward approach says, whatever finishes first, you should select it first. So obviously when you are beginning, you don't have any need to change, because this is a first activity. So whatever is your first activity, that will be scheduled. So your activity 1 will be scheduled between period 1 to 3. Remember, we have said that when you are activity is selected, it has to be, or it takes place during half open interval from SI to FI. That means just before its finish time, that activity will be finished, and at the same time you can start the other activity. That is what it means. So this A1 will be scheduled because there is no constraint violated, because it's a first activity, so you don't require to check whether any other activity is currently running or not. So constraint is not violated, so A1 will be scheduled. Then comes the next, that is A3. Now you need to check these two values. The finish time of A1, that is a previous or currently executing activity, and start time of newly arrived activity. So here A3 is a newly arrived, A1 is currently executing. So start time of A3 is greater than or equal to finish time of A3. That means A3 can be scheduled. So here A3 will take place between this slot number 3 to 4. Then comes in the sequence A2. Okay, again I will check start time of newly arrived activity, that is 2, and finish time of currently executing activity. Currently you are executing A3, so what is its finish time? It is 4. What is A2 start time? It is 2. Now 2 is not greater than 4, so it means that A2 cannot be scheduled. So that's why I will make it black to just indicate that it is being skipped. Then comes the next in the sequence, A4. A4 has finish time 7, start time has 4. Now again you will check the start time of A4 against the currently executing activity. Currently A3 is being executing. So we will again cross check these two value, A4 start time and A3 finish time. Because this is greater than or equal to this, we can schedule A4. So A4 will be scheduled just after A3 finishes. Again, next in the sequence is A6. Now, when you have A6 over here, then you will check again 8 is greater than 7. So A6 will be scheduled. Then comes in our sequence comes A5. Right, so it is start time is 7, finish time of A6 is 9, so it cannot be scheduled, so A5 will be skipped. A7, 9 greater than 9, so A7 will be scheduled. A9, 11 greater than or equal to 11, so A9 will be scheduled. 8, 9 is not greater than 12, so 8 will be skipped. And 12 is greater than or equal to 12, so A10 will be scheduled. So by this algorithm, what we can understand is that we have been able to schedule A1, A3, A4, A6, A7, A9 and A10, which is an optimum schedule for or using greedy algorithms. So I hope you understood the approach. It just you sort the activities, then select each activity one by one. You keep a track of previously executing activity and check the newly arrived activity start time against previously executing activities finish time. If they do not overlap, then you schedule. So let's just discuss the algorithm now. So you have a start time and finish time. Here we assume that all the activities are sorted in order of its finish time. So it means you don't require sorting over here. So the first step is obviously you want to run a loop. So you want to identify how many activities are there. So you have to find out n is equal to length of s. In some algorithm, you will find n over here as third parameter. So then in that case, you don't require this step. Okay. So first step is you just find out what are how many number of activities. This A represent the solution. Solution means the output. Finally, all the activities which are selected will be a part of A. So implicitly, your first activity will always going to be performed. No matter whatever its finish time or start time, if it is there in your order, if it's a first one, then it has to be scheduled. So initially your solution will begin with A. Because you are executed the first activity, you need to keep a track of current activity. Let's say J is the number which keeps the track of current activity, so you will make it equal to 1. So J is equal to 1. Now, since you have started with the first activity, so now you will start looking from a second activity. So you will run a loop. So I equal to 2 to n. You will go till the last one. So 2 to n. What you are supposed to do at every instance, you will check the start time of new activity, that is Si, has to be greater than or equal to finish time of currently executing activity. Currently we are executing J. So start time of I has to be greater than or equal to finish time of J. If that is true, it means that I can be scheduled. So A is equal to A union I. And if you have scheduled I, it means that now your current activity will become I. So now J is equal to I. So now in the next time, whenever you go for the next instance, the start time of next instance will be compared against the finish time of previous instance. So I hope you understood this for loop. Finally, your solution is in A, so it will be returned. So I hope you understood the algorithm. If you look at this algorithm, then what should be the step count? Statement number 1, step count 1, 1, 1. Then you have loop over here. So it will be big O of n. So big O of 1, 1, 1, big O of n, then finally big O of 1. So ultimately the time complexity for this algorithm is big O of n, because there is only one for loop. There is no nested loop over here. But we are assuming something over here, and what is that? We are assuming that activity is being selected on its finish time. Activities are sorted on its finish time. And when you have sorted it, it means that sorting will require some time. So ideally, optimum time the sorting will require will be big O of n log n. So total time complexity for this algorithm is big O of n log n plus big O of n. And if you ignore the lower order term, then the time complexity of this algorithm is big O of n log n. In previous case, again it was big O of n log n. Here big O of n log n. And there is an interesting property over here, because ultimately your time is taken by the sorting. No matter your problem has changed, but the maximum time was taken by the sorting only in both the cases. And not just these two cases, in many algorithms you will find that sorting is actually the culprit. And that's why lots of efforts have been put to optimize the sorting algorithms. So you need to be very careful about the selecting your sorting algorithm whenever you are dealing with any such problem statement, because whenever you are sorting something, it takes a time, and that is going to affect the overall performance of any algorithm or overall time complexity of any algorithm. So I hope this is clear. Anything which you want to ask or discuss from this problem statement? Yes, anyone? Okay. Fine. So the next in the sequence is not this one. I'm not going to discuss this. Okay. Another version of activity selection only. which is with a new name, that is job sequencing with deadline. See, the context is same, domain is same, only the context has changed. Actually, the domain is same, but the context has changed now. In case of previous example, or in case of previous problem statement, we have activity selections, or we do have set of activities, and each one was having some start time and some finish time. And our objective was to maximize the number of activity. In this problem statement, the context changed. So now instead of start time and finish time, we have just the finish time. So we have just, we call it a deadline. So that means it can be finished or it can be started at any time, but it has to be finished before deadline. That is what the context is now. It's like your assignment. Okay, you will be having a multiple subjects, and you are supposed to finish it. You can start it at any time, but you have to submit it on some date. So that is the deadline. So here also your activity can be started at any time, but it has to be finished before the given deadline. And if you finish it before the deadline, you will earn some profit, some value out of it. So let's say you finish the task before this and you will earn some profit. The objective in this problem statement is to maximize that profit. So you should select those activities which will maximize the total profit. Instead of a previous problem statement where we are actually optimizing the number of activities to be performed, that means you are interested in more and more activities. Here you are interested in more and more profit. It may be possible that you will perform less number of activities, but the profit should be maximized. So here you should gain maximum profit by your activity selection. That is the difference. So I told you that problem domain is same, but the context is different, and that's why the objective function is also different in both the problem statement. But greedy is applicable to both of this due to its greedy choice property. So I hope you understood the scenario. We have a set of n jobs. N can be any number. For each job, we have some deadline, Pi, which is greater than or equal to 0, and some profit, Pi, again, which is also greater than 0. There is no negative profit over here. Okay, so that is your input parameters. Constraint, two constraints are there. No, actually there is only one constraint, that is machine can process one job at a time. So in order to maximize your profit, you can't perform two jobs or you can't perform two activity at the same time. That is what we have. Unlike in the previous case where start time, finish time should not clash or overlap, here your machine can process only one job at a time. So that is the constraint. What is the objective function? Objective function is to maximize the profit. So you should schedule a job, or you should schedule or select a job in such a way that the total profit which is being earned by all the jobs of your schedule or as per your schedule will be maximum. That is the objective. So I hope the problem statement is clear. Let's discuss that with reference to an example, and then we will discuss the actual possible solution. So let's say we have these 4 activities, 1, 2, 3, 4. Each of them is having some deadline. So this is 1, 2, 1, 2. And each of these is having some profit. So what are the feasible solutions? Feasible solution means any possible solution. So let's say if you have feasible solution 1, 2. Here we are just doing a brute force kind of a thing. Brute force means checking all the possibilities. Here there is no intelligence applied, just make all the permutations possible. So here feasible solution, first feasible solution is 1 and 2. That means you will schedule job number 1 first, sorry, job number 2 first and job number 1 then, because the job number 2 has deadline 1 and job number 1 has deadline 2. So the solution is 2 followed by 1. So the total profit will be 110. Another solution is 1 and 3. 1 and 3. Both of them are having deadline 2. So again, any job can be scheduled. So it can be 1 to 3 or 3 to 1. Because either you can finish job number 1 first and then 3, or 3 first then 1. But after all, you will get the profit of 115 if you go by this schedule. And the next possible case is 1 and 4. But when you are going for this selection, you have only one option of performing jobs. Because the deadline of 4 is 1, you have to schedule that first. So 4 will be scheduled first and then you will schedule 2. So that will give you 127. Another option, you go for 2 and 3. So one first will be scheduled, then second. So 2 and 3, so 2 followed by 3, total profit will be 25. Another option, 2 and 4. No, 2 and 4 is not a solution, feasible solution, because both of them is having deadline as 1. So if you execute 1, second cannot be executed. So 2 and 4 is not a feasible solution, right? That's why we'll go for the next, that is 3 and 4. 3 and 4. 3 and 4 means first you have to schedule this A4 and then you can schedule A3. So 4 followed by 3, the total profit will be 42. Right? These are the feasible solution. Along with that, you can just simply schedule a single job as well. So you will not schedule any other job. You will just execute any single job. So 1, 2, 3, 4, that this is the profit which you will gain. Why all these are feasible solution? Because none of these are violating any input constraint. What are the input constraint? First, the job has to be performed before its deadline. And second, you cannot execute two processes at the same time. So all of these are a feasible solution. Obviously, this one is an optimal one. But is this a proper way to solve this? We have just checked all the possibilities. That means it's like a brute force approach, where you are checking all the possibility and then come to know that, okay, this one is the optimum one, which is not a greedy approach. Greedy requires some sort of greedy choice property. So let's try to identify what should be that choice property, or how can we solve this. I need your input. You have two numbers. One is deadline, second is profit. Obviously, you have to sort something. You have to sort it. So what are the options available? Just let me know. You want to maximize profit. So one logic says that you should schedule that job first, which has their maximum profit. Isn't it? Okay, let's discuss how do you plan your assignment submission, because it has the same thing. Yes, anyone? You have a profit, you have a deadline, and I want that what should be the solution, means how do you sort the numbers? Are you going to sort it on a deadline, or you're going to sort it on a profit? Okay, one solution is that you will sort it on a deadline in ascending order. Ascending order means that you will select those job first who finishes first, or which has to be completed first if you want to earn profit out of it. That is one solution. Second solution. Yes, anyone? I wonder what other people are doing. Only Madhu is giving the answers of every question. average, profit and deadline. Actually, there is no correlation over here. So I think you are trying to compare it with the knapsack problem, where actually value and weight are associated. Or in other words, our objective function was such that we want to maximize the value by reducing the weight. But here there is no such correlation. Here it's not like profit value is 100 and its deadline will be larger. No, that may not be the case. There is no correlation between deadline and value. So that means you can't perform any average, or we can't have any fraction or something like that. You have to take it independently. Both these numbers, you have to take it independently. There is no correlation. So the one solution, as said, it was to short on a profit, on deadline. Second solution is that it's straightforward. That I want to maximize profit, so first schedule all the job which has maximum profit. Isn't that the solution? I want to short all the jobs which has maximum profit, because ultimately what is my objective? Objective is to maximize the profit. So obviously I should choose those jobs which have higher value of profit, right? So that is straightforward, that you will short the jobs in the order of its profit. But the concern is that when are you going to schedule it? Remember, there is interesting property of this problem statement. It says that each job requires 1 unit time. Actually, I forgot this, but each job requires 1 unit time. 1 unit time means that if the deadline is, let's say, 8, then that activity can be scheduled between 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 5, 5 to 6, 6 to 7, 7 to 8. That is, I don't know why I have forgot this, but that is also the case over here, that each unit or each time or each activity requires a single time unit. So when you have some sort of deadline, let's say deadline is 3, then that job can be scheduled at 1, at 2, at 3. So there are 3 options available. Again, let's say deadline is 10, then you have 10 possible slots available for scheduling. So the approach will be something like this. First, you will short all the job in order of its profit. So the jobs will be scheduled on the order of its profit. Obviously, the highest profit job will come first. Then you will actually put that job in a slot in such a way that you can occupy more number of jobs. So usually what we do in that case, let's say some job has a deadline 8, then which one is the best possible slot to schedule that job if you want to overall improve the performance? If I want to occupy more number of jobs which may be coming in a future, then which one is the best possible slot for scheduling a job which has deadline as 8? Let me give you more relevant scenario. Your midsem exam or your submission schedule has been declared. Dates is not being given. But let's say for algorithm, you have been given that your date will be 30th of April. And you have 5 days for performing this or submitting whatever it is. So when my date is for algorithm is, let's say, 30th April, then which day you will be selecting for doing the preparation for algorithm? Let's say you require only 1 day for preparing any subject. and you are not knowing in the future which subject is going to give me which date. So what is the best possible slot available for algorithm? Last one, obviously. That's what we do in normal practice as well. We always uh, schedule the task, we always postpone it till it is mandatory to execute or it's mandatory to perform. So that's what usually people do, and that's basically the optimization which runs in our own genes as well. And the same approach will be applied over here. So the approach will be now straightforward. First, you schedule short the job in order of its profit. And second, schedule the job in a such a way that there is a possibility that more number of jobs can be occupied. And what is the best possible slot? The last one. If that is not available, go for the previous one. If that is not available, go for the previous, till you reach at a point where it can be scheduled. So if all the slots are occupied, then obviously you have to skip that job. If the deadline is 8, and if I have found that slot number 7 is occupied, 6 is occupied, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, all are occupied, and I am having a deadline of 8, it means that I cannot schedule this job. I have to go for the next job. So this is how approach will work, and we will discuss the actual algorithm in the next class. Okay. So you can ask me any question from this if you have. Yes, anyone.